Lui progreso, gracias a la misericordia. This is Sancista Luis. I'm doing a part 2 video on la Madama y la Comisión Negra, because I got an email and I just got an email and a person asked me, where in Sanse do we keep our negritos? I'm going to talk to you. If you haven't seen part 1 of this video, follow my page and look for the video on la Madama y la Comisión Negra, which I go into more details of these spirits. You can look it up in my YouTube page. But I got an email on where do we keep these spirits. Traditionally, I keep these spirits close to the floor, close to the ground. I don't really elevate them much into like an altar. I keep them as close to the ground as I can. And on my altar, or the layout of my altar, at least in Sanse, I keep them to the left-hand side of the altar, while my santos, they're elevated high above in the center, and my indios would be towards the right. The reason why I put my negros towards the left-hand side, and of course close to the ground, is because they do represent the element of fire, fuego. These are fiery spirits, very strong spirits. While los indios, which I place on the right-hand side, and also close to the ground, represent the element of water, agua. Okay? Again, go look at my first video on this commission of spirits. I don't ever place them on the altar with the santos. With the santos, let's say, the santos that may represent a loa or may represent an oricha. I do place them on the ground, and if I do elevate them, it may be just a little bit because they're seated on a silla de paja, a wooden rush seat, but usually they are on the ground, on the floor. I removed them from the altar room just to do this quick video, because I did get an email about where in Sanse, Puerto Rican Sanse, we keep our Comicion Negra or División Negra, which they are known in Vudu as Petro. In Vudu, they are more known as Loa, Petro Loa, or spirits that come from the Americas. But in Sanse, they're highly elevated spirits, but they're more muertos. They are very much more muertos, who, someday will reach that status of Loa or Oricha. But in Sanse and in Spiritismo, they are muertos. Okay. Again, I keep them on the left-hand side. You notice most of them have the theme of red, which represents the color of fire. They are fiery spirits. You can see this Madama with her shawl that I made for her. This negrita has all the colors of los jefes in Sanse, or what they would call los siete jefes del Sanse, or what they would call in, I guess, Santería, la siete potencias. Again, I keep them closely to the ground. Each of these spirits has a different name. I go a little bit into detail. With that in my first video. I do give them some water, or liquor, hot liquor, to quench their thirst. They do work hard for you. But mostly I give them tobacco and candles and liquor and spicy food. spirits, we don't just sit there and light candles. These are just, to represent the spirits. These are just statues that we do prepare with, inside them, we do prepare them with their secretos. Sancista, Espiritista prepares if an individual has one of these spirits in them, in their cuadro. We prepare them. This one's made out of chalkware. So in the bottom, we remove that paper layer, whatever it may be, and we place a resguardo or mojo bag or something with their secretos. The Franciscos often come with a caldero espiritual, which I will be talking more about el caldero espiritual in a future video. But again, this is the second video to that. If you have any questions, please ask, please follow, like my videos, share them. And if you are interested more in this Commission or this division of spirits, look at my first video titled La Madama and La Commision Negra. I go into a little bit of details of their names. They're not called Las Madamas, each Madama, which means madam or lady, has a name. Negra Tomasa, Amparo, Elena, Francisca. Well, Francisca often go with traditionally goes with La Conga. But, and another thing that I did talk about in the other video, Congas are spirits that come from the Congolese land, the Congo areas of Africa. While La Madamas, not always, but La Madamas are more Yoruba. So, two different ethnic groups there. Again, watch my first video on this. I will be doing another video soon, hopefully, when I do get time. I rarely have times to do videos. But I will be doing one more on los Congos, maybe on the Caldero Espiritual, and I will be doing more videos. But again, I do keep them close to the floor, and I keep them separate from Los Santos. At least in Sanse, we keep them separate from the Santos. We keep them separate from the Indians, the Indios. They represent the element of fire, fuego. They are fiery in nature, very strong. When they come and they mount the mediums, the Sancista, el servidor, they are very strong character. They have very strong characteristics. They love fiery things, tobacco, candles, things of hot nature. And they're very hot-natured spirits. But again, I keep them separate from my santos, which are elevated. And I also keep them separate from my indios, which are representative of the element of water. And I keep those on, the right-hand side. I keep them a little bit, but close to lo gede, which go under, the santos, el varón del cementerio and all that. I keep them, in the floor close to lo gede, but separate to lo gede. In Vudu, they are known as Petro, and in Vudu, they are known as loases, a group of loases, while in Sanse, they are more a group of muertos. They are elevated enough, close enough to the earth that they do come quickly to communicate with us, but elevated enough that they're reaching the status of that of Loa or Richa. And many of the loases in Sanse were just that. In life, they were, slaves who were santeras, mambos, and their history and, their history and their feats, they just became elevated into that status. But most of them are still close enough to the material plane that they do come very quickly. And we don't do just, we don't just sit there and light candles for them. we hold misas and fiestas and sesiones for them, where they do come and mount el Sancista, the Puerto Rican Sancista. They do mount, that's how they communicate with us. You know, Sanse, as is any Vudu tradition, is a tradition of communicating with the spirits. And by them mounting, I don't use the word possession, but I say the word mounting, montando, un muertero, un Sansista, un espiritista. I don't say possession, I say mounting, montando. In that moment we become their caballo, or their banco, or their silla. And, you know, they do communicate with the congregation. But I do go into a little bit more on this Commission in my first video. Please follow. I think it's over here. Like my videos. If you have any questions, please do ask. And share in your social networks. I don't know, Facebook or wherever it may be. This is Sancista Luis. I'm signing out. Luz y progreso. Gracias a la misericordia. Santo Sanse. Sanse yo.